trip back from Asia and determined that criticizing him is almost treasonous.
For those of you who've been listening to my discussions about the First Amendment and freedom of speech lately, this might sound strangely familiar, and I want to draw your attention to why. Before we had a constitution, back when we were part of England, the King of England and Parliament used 3 different methods to repress the freedom of speech. And those 3 methods are sort of the root of why we have a First Amendment, because they were considered to be sort of the line in the sand that the government was not going to be allowed to cross. These were things that the King and Parliament had done and that had led directly to the Declaration of Independence. The 3 things are prior restraint, seditious libel, and something called constructive treason. Now, seditious libel is actually kind of close to this too, but here I want to talk about constructive treason because it's particularly applicable to what Mr. Parnas is discussing here. There was a time in England when you could be charged with treason. Treason was a death penalty offense, and it was essentially doing something, actually doing something to hurt the king or hurt the country, one way or another, and there were some specific examples of what that meant. Constructive treason came about in sometime in the 1600s, where the court started finding that by saying things or writing things that had the same effect as treason, you had constructively committed treason, and therefore were able to be punished in the exact same way. So constructive treason said, you don't have to do anything to commit treason. All you have to do is say something or even think something, and you have hurt the state, the head of state, the legislature, and you're not allowed to do that. And therefore you can be, and as happened in some cases, drawn and quartered. Now, early on in our First Amendment jurisprudence, the First Amendment was used pretty narrowly. It didn't necessarily apply to all of the things that we think about freedom of speech applying to today. But the 3 things that it always applied to were these 3. Constructive treason was right there, right at the beginning, and everybody knew it when this was written. So this is kind of ground zero for First Amendment protection. So keep that one in mind as you hear this story evolve, because this is really kind of a big no-no. Follow me for more about law and government, and I'll keep you up to date on the history.